Shantirakshita said that when you find this kind of profound fact, and when you understand the profundity of the fact and the benefits of the fact, so once you understand that, if you didn't follow the fact, so it means that you are nothing. So better to say where you found the profundity of meaning. It was said by Shantirakshita.
당당한 한 거는 가져와다 지. 매일 토요일 뒤에 가져와다. 어디 안에마다 선생님들 되었어.
So at the present, we got such a precious human rebirth, and we are in such a stage that we don't know where we will be. It's totally in our hands, whether we go up or whether we down, and we are in that stage.
어시간 다 참말로 그 원원의 리인은 참말로 지금 두고요.
So that's why all we are and trying to accumulate such a marriage which will benefit her. So we all are engaging in accumulating such a profound marriage.
이내는 또 천지들마다 천지 디지정을 한다서는 처리되어 말이죠.
So if we accumulate a marriage only for the sake of this very life, then it's not worthwhile. It's not so worthy. If we accumulate such a marriage for the sake of so many, you can say, life afters, then it's worthwhile.
이내 선들은 마찬가지 선들로 동안 상을 위원하여 지가 지금 심한 하나가 스베 대화가 차는 뭐 스베 대화 강한 또 맞지 지금 심한 분석이 간 스베가 왔다고 스베 대화가 차는 대화 하는 가져가지 최점도 송을 이내는 거
So when we are having such a precious birth we have, human birth that we have, if we attach to for the sake of this very life, and we are attached to the sensual things, then the birth we have is not very worthy enough. So that's why it's very important for us to detach the sensual things that we found in this very life.
이내 다 지금 처음에 이제 하다 보면 공부하는 게 한시가 소리다. 네. 지가로다. 지 대종은 마찬가지 원에 니지가로다. 거기서 한지도 그럼 고와 들려야 한지도 그럼 거기서 와는 타로 공부하면 되는 얘네 니 대화시에는 당한 거지. 내리도 그래서 알았어.
So if we accumulate such a marriage, such a marriage, not only for the sake of this very life, just make a wider target in our life to get the liberations. Liberation from what? Liberation from the samsara. So by keeping such a target, and then we accumulate a marriage, then that marriage will be worthwhile and really worthy and really benefit for us. If we accumulate such a marriage only for the sake of this very life, not setting such a wider targets like liberation and so forth, then we consider it not worthy enough.
어디인가는 배워시는 가마시 저렇게 막 얘는 밀리게 시가서다. 밀다른 부품을 했어.
So whatever the virtues you accumulate, whether small scope of virtues you accumulate, or whether the greatest scope of virtues you accumulate, there's no difference at all. by accumulating the virtues, the main reason is you need a destiny or target, and that is most important.
어떤 인간이 자신 보지 수는 건데 얼마나 봐야 쉬어지야 하면서 되는 치고를.
So that's why when we set up such a great target, you can say goal or objective, then we do or we accumulate the virtues. That is really nice and really benefit for us. So that's why whatever the virtues you accumulate is very important you to set a definite and great type of goal.
어떤 인간은 하고는 최 마셔나 가야랬으나 새라고 돈을 내서 봐요. 정말 유순 내가 생각하는 소원 이제 뒤에 공부하는 이 가서는데 받는 것이 살아야
So if we are unable to ask, to engage, to accumulate the virtues, so in every day, and we accumulate a lot of negativities from the prospect of mind, from the prospect of body, and from the prospect of speech. So that's why, and not only that, we accumulate such a innumerable or immeasurable negativities that we accumulated maybe in before, life before. So that's why it's very important for us to stick this very life, to set a particular goal, and to liberate us from this kind of suffering.
뭐 대형의 손상이 많아서 다 뒤에 되고라는 거 자와 도 손상 건데고 독세도상 건데고 지 와당에 손소바는 건데고 지 가서래 도 손상인다고 될 로마는 되고 참말로 도 손상인사 뒤에 되고를 말한다고는 지금 나서서 내야 지 단단히 쉬어야고 전에 요 마셔는 가져 나가지 그래야 아니라
So at the moment that we got such a precious human rebirth and we are unable to handle it very properly, then it will be a great danger for us. In what way? In this way. Because if we are unable to use this opportunity in a better way, then it might be fall down in a lower realm, like how and so forth. So that's why better not to fall down there, and we have to use the opportunity we have right now and to set up our motivation and to lead us to away from the samsara, mainly to eradicate or to cut the root of samsara, three poisonous things. And this is the most important and significant.
어떤 인간은 먼저 세배하는 지 원하고 가서 지 이제 와당 이제 가서 이제 자신도 보내는 이제 샤공세가 토네 의미가 좀 그러면은 먼저 패널이 토해요.
So there is also a way for us to liberate from this samsara. For in what way? Like in this way, by have such a great regret for what we did, negativities that we accumulated. For that, we need a great regret. Not only having a great regret is not enough. We have to be practical. In what way? To remove all those, sufferings from the root. And this is the one way of purification or to purify. In another sense, it's the one way of liberate us from the samsara.
어떤 인간 먼저 그런 게 사탄 세상에 좀 이거 집어줄 필요는 없네. 먼저 이전 들어가다 서로 망설여 통모가 쉬어요.
So once we are able to purify or confess, it's very different from the Western point of view confession. When you are able to purify or confess your own activities, and it's unanimous to all the religions, all the traditions that, and we will get a better result. It's the same way as that from the Buddhist perspective views. If we are able to, eradicate all those, like root of negativities, and there's a show, and we will get the better result. So it's more important for us to engage in this kind of practice.
다른 대간데 남과 도움이 받는데 가르쳐야겠으나 대간데 잠도시 지난다 내려 관에 내가 지금 쓰는 소화도 들어 지로 남과 들어 저한테 잠도 보내야 이제 가서 라라서나네 동방송국 추동 연변시야 들어 때네 되는 받으면 뭐 들어야 되다 남과 도움이 받쳐줘.
So it is common or unanimous in all traditions that if we do good things, and it's sure that we will get a good result. So what's the uniqueness, you can say, what is the special characteristic from the Buddhist point of view is that we have a refuge. And we can refrain from 3 different kinds of laws or precepts. So these are the uncommon characteristics from the Buddhist perspective view to remove all the negativities that we accumulated or to liberate us from samsara.
밀리인데 간다야는 저 동아 순자라고는 가던도가 지금 나봐 순자라는 시기용 지금도 된실이야. 시가소라. 근데 다 연주상에 대해서 쓰여요.
So the one who happened to be practiced Tandrayana as well as Sudriyana, and he acquired such a form, a being who acquired such a form that practiced Tandrayana as well as Sudriyana. Tandrayana and Sudriyana and Hinayana.
순자가 다 그러냐면 시통을 된실이야.
So the one who acquired such a form and who is able to practice Tandrayana, Sudriyana, or you can say Hinayana or Mahayana. There are Mahayana 2 perspectives, like Vajra Mahayana.
Tandrayana, so Mahayana.
Okay, Mahayana in Hinayana. The one who is happened to be practiced the Mahayana and Hinayana, and then we considered and he acquired an excellent form that who perform or can practice as such a practice.
다 내가를 된데 당소소로 이거는 하자가 자신 모르다. 근데 시투야가 주는 순간이면 시투야가 된지는 자신 모르다.
So once you happen to have such a form that you practice, and this kind of practices, Mahayana practice and Hinayana practice, then you can consider that yourself got or acquired an excellent form. So, and this kind of form is really rare to get, and it's hard to get, not only in this life, as well as in near future too. So you might be get some kind of doubt that if you can say, to refrain, to practice these 3 kinds of precepts, and it's necessary the one has to be a monk or nun. That is not definite, and it's not so, it's not so definite to become a monk or nun. And being a layman, we can practice it. They are, say, like the one step liberate from samsara, they are that kind of precept. And novice, you can say novice layman precept. Novice. Novice layman precept. Novice precept and bodhisattva precept. There are three different kinds of precepts. So you are not necessarily to become a monk or nun to practice this kind of precepts.
지난주에 다녀면 대대적인 중에 중간에 시투도나 야오를 요랬어. 친구들면도랑 알아나 옆에도 많이 와서 하고 그러고.
So you can judge for yourself that is it possible that you can practice this kind of precept? Then it's really a wonderful, because we say that the oneself is, we are unable to judge oneself who we are, who I am. So that's why you can ask yourself that whether you can practice this kind of precept or not. If you are able to, then it's wonderful and excellent.
하여튼 이제는 우리는 거는 지금 가서다 소리를 하는 지금 대화에 어쩌다 대화에 열어봤어.
So to practice this kind of things, and we need to generate some kind of faith. And it's very important to judge that whether you have this kind of faith or not. If you have, then it's a positive. So once you understand that you have such a faith, then it's not a time for you to leave it as it's there. You have to develop your faith more. You can say you need to generate your faith greater and greater.
당고 소외주를 매번 냐면 시선을 가라가고 당고 소외주를 예배 상에 냐면 그 상자들이 야야야다나 아니 소외주를 냐면 심마도 가라가라 아니야 제일 최소 쓰는 거죠.
And also it may be happen like in this way that once you don't have anything in within yourself, faith or whatever. So once you don't have any faith, then you think that I want to practice, then it's something like a wild goose chase. That's why you have to, if you don't have, and you need to develop to generate faith. If you have a faith, then we need to, you can say, develop it more greater and greater. So this is how we develop our mind. So once we have an interest to practice dharma, and that's not enough, and we need to give more enthusiasm or some kind of effort to generate this kind of practice.
So
once you have you can say, once you have an effort, and if you do effort to understand this kind of things, and through that you can understand dharma as well. So what kind of problem that we are facing is that we understand the dharma from the intellectual point of view, but what we are lacking is that we are lacking in practice. So that's why everybody wants to practice dharma. But why we are unable to practice in this very moment is because of our laziness. It also said in Lamrim Chemo, it also said that why we are unable to practice the dharma in the right moment is because of that our laziness or lethargy. So that's why we are unable to do that.
최선의 그 시바 담기가 최바는 죽음이야 그래. 최바 생각에 라련은 경계지야 최바서. 그래서 라련 따다라 깨거든 최바래. 시바는 그 최바다죠.
So we said that by knowing only Dharma, by only understanding Dharma, is we never considered as the one who, practice Dharma. What we need is that one who understands Dharma as well as one who practices Dharma. And for that we said that he is a religious person or religious being.
당연한 거야. 남산은 최시바는 남산은 라련 깨야가 아니 준주디야 야당.
So therefore, what we need to do is that while we understanding the Dharma, and in a very moment, we need to practice it. So then, there is a possibility to become a pure religious man.
인간은 아주 지단제 님네로 때도 신경을 신바데 라련의 님도 제를 권하니 싫어게 했던 라련 만들에 싫어면 못겠네요. 그 라련의 패마도는 싫어 감지를 마도 라련의 패마도 싫어서는 라련 깨야 가지고 신 싫어 마시네 신발 라련 깨게 양양소지 싫어 자세히 마시는 강 신발 라련 깨게 이것도 양소지 신신한 신발이
So why I am saying we need to practice is that by knowing the matter is not enough. And the more we need is to practice it from your side first. So that's why we said that the one who understands a little and who practice it, and we consider that is the best. So that's why when we understand the things and matters, when we dharma, then it's very important for us to practice it in a very moment.
知道了，台湾假设东西呢，突然之间你说哪能个？台湾假设我假设东我现在哪能的哪块地不能是哪块地的不同的话，真的是真，突然不哪能哪地不同的啥，从那那个是吧？哪能哪块能？那我这里不同的话，那里不语就没接就，因为人本来的那里不等的，两年的那里不能是新要的把我现在拍嘛多了，所以那年的给那个人说，他刚刚才要读书的提早了呀，那时候说。
So why I'm keep on stressing that the practice is the most important thing is that there is a saying in Tibet. There is a saying in Tibetan that the one who says billion times but who practices nothing.
남중은 안 그러다 지난 수가 여러 번, 수가 여러 때,
So that's why I'm saying the one who says billion times but he didn't practice any single point, and that's not worthy enough. So what we need is that if you know little and you practice it, that's cool. So that's why. And by the way, it's very important for us to, be patient. Patient.
that's why you know, so that's when the Namju, you said that you don't know the plant on that. Namju Shanda is a top conduct year by the Laraja, oh, that conduct married some telescope to put them to Savaslim show. Conduct year at the end of conduct year, then Namju so won't use Lana, so I'm set to the matter.
So why I said that we need to patience for that is that because if we say that he's very tolerant, he's very, you can say, tolerated person. If he said that, if somebody curses and he thinks that he can bear that, but that's not the real meaning of patience. The patience means that when there comes, in a very certain moment, there comes such a thing, and he's able to understand, oh, this is not good, so I need to be patient. He is able to check his mind. Then there is a pure and a real passion. This passion is not something that is to do with the kind of pretend. It's not a passion. Passion should be inborn, instinctivity that comes from your mind, you know. So that's the most important.
그런 길어다 인지에 때도 여러 와서 인지에 여러 와서 인지 친구들 갖다 그 가져가는 얘기를 하나 마시자는 거라고.
So both, and everybody has a certain aspect, certain you can say scope of their own compassion towards anything, you know. But from my point of view, it's really hard to generate a great compassion. But it's true that everybody have a certain limit of compassion.
근데 안 그러다 ਸਮ제 동원이 나와라야 인지 때때 지거라. 그래서 동원 나와라 동원이 다 비게 가서다. 동원 나왔던 거는 인지 지르면 산다는데 ਸਮ제는 어디 인지 실에 지르면 또 와. 맞아. ਸਮ제 탐제하는 거 이하고 저번도 지금 동원 나왔던 거 뭐 ਸਮ제 탐제를 지게리야 인지 기야디야 하는 건 맞단 거.
So, for us, you know, like ordinary beings like us, we generate compassion when we come across or when we see that one is suffering from suffering. And that very moment, and we get some kind of stuck in our heart and we feel sympathy or compassion towards them. But in general, just for all sentient beings, it's really hard to us to get a compassion to them in general level. So that's why it's very important for us to develop or to generate our compassion from the root, from the depth of, from the core of our heart. So
나도 그런 일이 충분히는 돼야 다 자체로 당대 전부서 다자 보면 놀라지는 그거는 조정화 자동 조리야 넘베자 여러 배트 지고.
So likewise, once we have happened to be the seed of compassion, then it's very easy to us to generate a wider aspect of compassion. Likewise, you can take the example of dollar. Once you have happened to be $1, and if you are quite smart enough, and you can pile up $2, $3, $10, $50, and so forth. Likewise, same as the analogy and the like this matter, the compassion. Once you have a seed of compassion, and you can generate it very easily.
담보만 하는 줄이야 지금 로상에 잡이 이거 어떻게 돼? 소사바로 체. 근데는 몇년 그 세계는 야냐면 세계는 야냐를 그랬어.
So initially, you can say the positive moral contact as you can say act as a seed to what? To generate a better quality in within us. So through that, and we can develop ourselves in a very positive direction.
뭐라도 지금 내가 지금 유mon속 치면서 막 총도 따나. 하나 또 상대야 새로 따야 돼. 들려야냐면 쓰고스.
So this is how, when we generate a positive qualities in within us, slowly, in the very moment, the negative qualities in within us going slowly and downward. So this is how we generate, you can say, the deep compassion or whatever, understanding in within us. And
어디 내가 그걸 제발선 또 봐 인자 되듯이 투구로서 투구로서 저는 투구로서.
And this is known as a real practice. So once we happen to be engaged in this kind of activities, then it's sure and it's definite that we can reach the goal and the object that we target that we set.
따라야 이발로 성적이 야야 공부자 롱내 받아서 막 어제 주고 전에 그리고 점시 그거 제가 제가 다 춘도와.
So this is how we train our mind by negating all the negative qualities in within us, by practicing the positive quality, to developing the positive qualities in within us. If we do this practice, then we can consider that he is a religious being or real practitioner.
Ngarando ta la len kaya kasa ko len de pa lan de la len kaya. Shu go ma go bu un tu dan china la ren mo ta ta ke ren te ya ko de ne ta po de she go. Shu shi wa li ya ni ja do shin ge ma ro la ga sing ge le ya ta po ke ren yi ge lam ge yin na da ji de le ka yin che lam ga ji ke ge ten je fo da yin che ke ren ten go wa ke na che de ta mo ke ren ten go ro shu go ta le ya ta mo ke ge she go te yin na mo so la len ta ya de la ga mo shi che ya so de len de la len ta tu.
So, for example, any kind of, you can say, vocation training that you want to train yourself, for that at least we need some kind of teacher. And as well as if you want to learn some kind of dharma, we need a teacher. And so therefore, when we practice the dharma, you can say the karma is, like more like a teacher. And once you understand the karma, then there is a, you can say, and it's also develop your, you can say, energies and to energy towards the positive qualities. Because once you understand the karma, which means that you understand the, you can say, the theme of the, you can say, dharma. So that's why it's very important for us to have a, you can say, teacher. And here karma acts as a teacher for us. If you do that, and you will come up, you will get that. So karma actually means action, or whatever the action you do, and you will get the result. So that's why we say that the karma is more like a teacher, because of, so whatever the activities that we engaged, it's totally depend on karma, in a sense that because every action there is a reaction. So likewise, and every action there is a result. So that's why by understanding karma, and we can able to confess or to purify the negativities that we accumulated and to generate the positive qualities in within us. This is how we develop our minds, by relying on karma. So why I'm giving more significance to karma is that, so one is, you can say, about, one is happened to be, you can say, die. Now, in the very moment he's going to die, in that moment. And in that very certain moment, he generates some kind of, you can say, like a negative thoughts in within us. And that very moment, and he needs to refuge. That's the essence of refuge. So why we say that it's very necessary to have a refuge is that even though if we practice well, so practice well from our whole throughout the lives. So in the time that we are about to passing into the peace of mind, and that moment, if you just lose your direction of mind to the, you can say, towards the negative, then that moment it comes up a lot of negativities. So, and that moment is very important for us to rely on the refuge. So that's why we say that the refuge is very important.
다 대담지 전엔 저와시만 담면서 마지와 잠시 중에 대담지 제도 대담지 중화적인 거라도 쳐요 말아. 저와시만 가서 마지와 잠시 가서 쳐셔봐 세고 쳐요 말했어.
So in this very moment, if we do practice a karma just only for the sake of us, not to reborn in a, you can say, lower realm or unfortunate realm, and that is not enough for us. That's not our target. So we have a wider target than that. So that's why it's very important for us to practice karma really well, while you have the opportunity and privilege.
당연한 최신들이야. 지난다 가사생의 상황을 기울때가 요때 다들 이거도 기부 중등 조성사다. 그래서는 춘념의 생결이야 기부 스타즈. 춘념의 생결이야 하느냐면 다 저처럼 하도 가서 저처럼 여서 맞지 잠시 통근들이야 다 최신의 나는 조조 탑 조조리 기부 중을 합시다. 대선지 기부 중을 저처럼 별하도 미고 막 통근 좀 대담 좀 심해 통근들이야 기부 중을 남냐는 생각을 합시다. 세상은 구름이네 다래. 대담지 기와저라 미고 막 도야가 속 대화시에서는 지체도 지금 인생을 최시에서는 구름들이 최신의 기분에 기부 충족 구름을 기부 충족 구름 충족을
So in this very life, we will come across a different kind of happiness. It's according to the person or the being himself or herself. But if we do practice atama only for the sake of that, not reborn in the in the lower realm, and that is be considered as a small scope being. There are three different kinds of scopes: greater scope, middling scope, and small scope. So one who practices only for the sake of only not to be born in the lower realm, and that kind of person we consider as small scope. And those who practice a dharma to setting a target to liberation and enlightenment, and that is be considered as greater scope. So that is the actual happiness. That's the real happiness.
세상에 나도 지다는 최신의 대화도 니모바 시주 니모바 달라 쇼서는 최바스 말이야. 오늘 최원내 다는지 니모바 달라 쇼고 니모바 달라 최바라는 거 가서도 당분간은 이제 니모바 달라랑 좀 기고 지난 다시다 개만 말하는 줄로 다 도쇼도 니모바 그 니모바 달라는 타서는 그냥 달아서 날리더라.
So the real practice is that we need to understand the enemy which is within ourselves. And normally we considered just, because of the physical gestures, and we happen to be considered oneself externally, and this is our enemy, but this is not the real enemy. The real enemy is which is inside of us. So once we are able to remove this real enemy within us, the root of samsara, three poisonous things. So then we can say that he's a real practitioner. And then we consider that he's the one who understands Dharma.
조용한 안서 줄이야. 아니 레다니 뭐 말씀을 드려봐. 레다니 뭐 반니기 이거 제주도 아니고 쇼르요 말. 레다니 뭐 레다니 뭐 잘서나 나도 쉐바들 님이 자수나는 보다 오늘 달아봤는데 오늘 리와.
So until or unless the form that we have engage in the activities of karma and karma and delusions, then we say that we are samsaric beings. Once ourselves or whatever, that is just away from the delusions of karma, and that is you can say, the actual goal, which is, like liberation or enlightenment. So that's why we say that we need to set a target to remove this karma and delusions and to lead ourselves to the enlightenment.
다지나 도시 님어가 레이장 님어면은 홀 기투요마. 레가 살하도는 님어면은 홀 기투요마. 고제마상.
So from these two, karma and delusions, even though you have a karma, if your mind is not too diluted, then there's no way and no chance to be fallen in samsara. But if there happen to be that, which is, you can say, happen to be engaged in your mind is, and happen to be engaged in a diluted, this kind of process, then show that, and we are still in samsara.
난 이모베든 나네 지나는 도시가는 소는 지가서 다 지다스는 단주가라면 다들만 벌로데 아마 다 대표가는 마찬가지로 리아면 가서 란주가라면 다들만 지바티 지다스는 이모가 나네 도시 다티.
So within delusion, there are so many different kinds of delusions. One of the most profound negative delusions, that is the grasping at object as truly existence. Or you can say, that within the delusion, the transitory collections. Within the transitory collections, you can say, you have such a grasping. What kind of grasping? The grasping at object as truly existent. That is the worst and most negative delusion that we have, ever we have. Grasping at object as truly existent.
제가 인자다 말한도 지기당 말한도 언제 탄입에 말을 밀지. 말한도 탄입에 명대 파자서 말을 탄입에 말을 밀지. 단쟁게 탄입에 말을 밀어요. 다면도 싫어보여 말하면 요래 지금 탄입에 말하면 다도 두 번째 지금 탄입에 말하면 다도 맞두 번째 누가 지르면 지난 무슨 대화 무슨 끼고
So even though there is one object, and for that very object, there are two different kind of angles to understand that object. And from the one angle, and we understand, we know that this object is, that exists from its own side. From the one angle, we say that this object exists just in a conventional level, which means just imputed by your mind, or just a designation, or in other sense that just imputed in the conventional level. So there are two different kinds of angles to understand, to know that. But why? And from very, you can say, ordinary beings like us, and we just take it guaranteed that it exists from its own side. But the mode of existence of that thing is empty of that inherent existence, or just an imputation of your mind. Nothing exists from its own side.
1200 요르데 1200 샤마시마세 1200 미제 나가 지금 다도시 지금에 다도 1200 다들고 저 다도 마시마세 다 내가 또도 더 다음에 또 싫었어요. 산 지금 들으면서 고 다도 시험바 인상 들었다면서 지금 다도 마시마는 거 이거 뭐지 잘못서 개별 싫었디라 싫었디가 안도 그래야 다 가서 기계 words.
So, for that very particular object, because of their understanding, and some says that there is a self, the grasping at self, which they think that is access from his own side. They really don't understand the mode of that existence. And from the one perspective, they say that it's empty of its inherent existence. So for that very perspective, we say that selflessness. To understand the selflessness of the mode of that existence, and for that we need such a wisdom. That wisdom is called the primordial wisdom awareness. That primordial wisdom awareness understand the real mode of that existence, and which understand like is empty of that inherent existence.
제가 다음에 또 배시를 거라 자와주야 또 편지를 걸리요. 이게 또 이거 이내고 이와시발에 본바 때문에는 뭐 똑똑고 말어.
So that's why we say that the primordial wisdom awareness is something more like a sword to cut the root of that samsara, which is the grasping at the object as true the existence, which means that we have such a grasping that is exists from its own side, which only understand by that primordial wisdom awareness. So it is we consider as a sword to cut from the root.
지금 도마 방법에는 야 가스를 쉬는 고 주고 말아. 주실을 마시는 신지역으로 되나 시즌이 미국 제일 메인데 시신에 등에서 템포고 그랬어.
So likewise, when we chopping the wood, and we need to chop the wood in a very particular point. If we just do one from root, one from top, there's no way to cut the chopping the wood. So likewise, we need a single pointed, when we are cutting the root of samsara, and we need to be single pointed, and that is to eradicate or to cut, and that grasping. What kind of grasping? I told you before, that grasping at the object as truly existence.
다들 지난은 누가 그저 신에서 시에서는 영화 참여자 그 마고바세 영화 청마시 누가 지를 내가 봐 연자 신내서라 인지를 가서라 어떤 날씨 인지고.
So when we cutting these kind of things, and the one should be in a very calm abiding mind. In Sanskrit it's called samadhi. So why it is called calm abiding mind? One should be very calm. This calmness is something like a facility to understand that. So we use the calmness as a facility to what? To understand, to cut that one. So in that very moment, the one should be really calm, and your mind should be really calm, and its mode of abiding should be really in a very peaceful. So, and that is in Tibetan is called Shine, in Sanskrit Samadhi, and English is called calm abiding mind. The step.
어제나 이거 처음에 참모 발표가 시작한 거 이거 라와가야 이거 라바가야 남중으로 이거 라바데 간다가 엄보 고성으로 당기어로 그래서 이거 암조가 다되는 섬대 중도를 미국 수원세바도나 섬대 중도를 위저를 전체부터 섬대 중도를 나와다 대신받지 섬 중도를 엄보 가지고 어느 당시와 인상 들 인지 그거 뭐 때문에 내가 말아 그래서 당보야 이와라 바카야가 시도 고숨지 있는 담다 수준을 잡는다.
So when we are engaging in this calm abiding mind, there are two different kinds of disturbance. One is gross level of disturbance, and one is subtle level of disturbance. So gross level of disturbance is something that because of our sense organs. When you hear some beautiful, like very sweet song, and you will just lose your intentions. When you just come across very delicious taste, they're very kind of good smell, then you like finish your, nonsense. And likewise, when you see beautiful things and you sober your eyes and you lose your attentions. So that's why the first most important is that we have to cease the disturbance that we across through, you can say, like three